What's happening, Brother Malachi Obama?
Peace. What's going on?
Nothing's happening. College is closed. But that's white studies. Black studies, we're going to be here Thursday. Yes. 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 You know, we'll be here on Thursday. Why should I be taking a day off for Abraham Lincoln, the false emancipator? And the following Tuesday, I'm supposed to be in North Carolina and South Carolina, so we got a problem. But Professor Smalls, who's my major partner, now that Professor Scobie is gone, if I'm not here on Tuesday, there'll be a regular class, and Professor Smalls will be here for a presentation on Malcolm X. He worked close with Malcolm's sister, and the legacy of Malcolm after he was assassinated. He was the imam of Muslim Mosque Incorporated, and he also was an important figure in Malcolm's OAAU. So that Professor Smalls put a little notation that he may be in here on Tuesday, and we'll expect you to take notes on his presentation and also to write an analytical essay on his presentation, since he has had very close personal contact with the struggle. In fact, he was with the students in 1969 when, what happened, young lady? 1969. That's part of it. When were you born? 1987. So you're a baby, a babe in the woods. What about you, young man? What were you doing in 1969? You wasn't born. So when were you born? When? 87. What about you? You look like an old. When were you born? 65? Huh? When were you born? Huh? 88. All these 87 and 88 babies. What about you? 84. 84. Young man, you look as old as Methuselah. 72. Young lady? 85. 85. You lying about your, huh? Date of birth? 68. That's a special date. What about you, young lady? 80. Okay. Yes? 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 Yes, you. 88. 88. 89. How come young students in here? What about you, Malachi? Okay. Young man?
89. 87.
65. Yes? Yes? Hank? Oh. Way in the 89? 80? Right here. 86. What was that now? 1901. You're not old, but you. Did we get you all in here? What was it? 87, 80? Yeah, 89. Okay. Well, That's a damn shame. Actually, you are too young to be in my class. You know, I need more seasoned people. You all ain't lived enough to take a, well, that's out of sight. You know, I can work with that. How
about you?
huh? I like to keep my age, you know, because, you know, if I tell you how old you are, you might take it. If I tell you how old I am, you might try to take advantage of me, but not realizing that my martial arts skills are still honed in. You know. But this has been a fantastic 40-year period for Shitty College. Why are you all laughing? Sometimes when I talk fast, instead of saying City College and with the proper pronunciation, it comes out Shitty College. 69, important date, when the students, inspired by the messages of Kwame Ture and Rap Brown in the fall of 68. 68 was a it was an explosive year, probably the most explosive year in American history. Riots at the Democratic Convention, Martin Luther King was assassinated, 150 American cities was on fire, including Washington, D.C. Troops were on the steps of the Capitol to protect from the raging black mobs. Then there was the poverty move on Washington to put a tent city in Washington. Then in June, I believe it was, John F. Kennedy's brother Robert was assassinated. And then you had the Black Power conferences and other things in the summer. And so the question was, where do we go from here? And a number of people like Rap Brown and Stokely Carmichael were part of the movement, Black Power movement. And they were inspiring the students to take action. Each generation, as Fanon said, has to make its contribution to the forward march of humanity or deny it. And so the students came up with the plan to move on the existing institutions and try to change them. And so they came up with a study of how the city university and the public school system are related and what is the product of the city university. Who's another sneeze and you're out of here? Because see, strike, it's cool. 2 strikes, 3 strikes, AIDS. So we you know, and for yourself, yeah. I was with a fellow the other day. He gave a fantastic lecture, but he said he had the flu. And you know, I gave him a good handshake when I met him, but then when he said he had the flu, and then every time he tried to talk, I mean, he didn't even cough into his. That meant that if I left him, I'd have to shake a handful of flu. So I arranged so that didn't happen. I arranged that didn't happen. So got 1 strike, 2, 3rd, you're out of here. Is that okay? Obama. All right. Keep account, Pastor. All right. At any rate, we're going to celebrate 1969. You wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the students who got involved in a revolutionary act, taking control of their destiny, and then trying to move collectively, and then trying to deal with a system of exploitation. And as a result of their movement, the city university, various campuses, became the largest black and brown institution of education in the world. At its height in the 80s with 280,000 students, about 180,000 of them were us. And that's an enormous achievement. But because there was so much change, the system that controls has been trying to whiten up the city university system ever since, using the excuse of raising the standards. And because there's not enough white students to go around the institution, they've been recruiting them. And there's still not enough, so they've had to make Asians honorary whites. So that when they're talking about the whitening of the school, if it has a lot of Asians in it, then that's a part of the plan. At any rate, we're going to get into that in more detail as we move into. We're going to kick off the weekend of February the 20th, first, a year of celebration of the struggle at the City University system that opened it up to our world. And we're going to look at the implications of that and where do we go from here after. And what do we have to do to keep the institution serving the larger population, opposed to a process of gentrification. So Brother Smalls will be an important part of that. As you see, this is the Harlem Posse, the African scholars. At the center is one of our greatest scholars, Dr. John Henry Clark. How many of you have heard of him? How many of you have not heard of him? How many of you don't want to admit that you haven't heard of one of the greatest scholars in the history of our world, who lived right down the street, 100th Street, for many years and taught at Hunter College, was Professor Emeritus, organized many organizations that were African-centered, and then his partner, he died 10 years ago, and his partner, Dr. Ben, who lived not too far from him on 135th Street, he's still alive. He just had his 91st birthday. And these two brothers represent the successful brotherhood, as opposed to this symbol, the big penis representing what? The big black penis represents what? The big black penis represents what? Back there, the big black penis represents what? Why are you looking at everybody? I'm looking dead at you. Oh. The big black what? It's not a thing, it's a penis. Black penis. It represents. See, y'all do too much talking in the back. When we come back from this little break, I might have to break you all up and put you all up here. No, I'm talking about the other classes. You are constantly in communication with each other. And so you're out of communication with the knowledge. Tell me something about the big black penis.
You said it was built because...
And compare it to the big little white penis.
What's the big little white?
Malachi, make sure you get her on tape.
Because I was in Africa and they had people made a replica of it because they sold it.
You see, when you don't concentrate on Dr. J and his knowledge giving, you get confused and you come up with little bits and pieces like you just came up with. Between the four of y'all, or five of y'all, y'all ought to be able to get it right. Now, I'm asking the five of you. Usually when I have these difficulties, it's with the Dominican posses in my classes. Now I got the Negro sister posses in the class. Now, tell me something about the big black penis. All right. No, she had her hand up. She had her hand up, and we'll let you continue and expand on it, so be ready to move. Yes, sister, come on. Come on. Okay, sisters, you want to add something to that?
The thing is, Professor, like, I understand your penis theory, but I don't know. You focus a lot on graphs and the triangle, so that's where I gained from, you know. I thought that you were penis to all the triangles that we've spoken about. Maybe I got lost in something.
Well, you seem to be excited about this penis thing, so you're in the right direction. Yes, we wanted you to deal with the triangles, and we want you to deal with the penis. Now, the triangle, if you turn it upside down, it kind of represents what?
Oh.
Yes.
Father, mother, and child.
Right, we're moving in the right direction, but the penis represents the penis, clearly, right here. Turn the pyramid upside down, and what you got?
Is it the female organ?
Yes, it's the female organ.
Okay.
Isn't that somewhat okay? Now, we're raising the question of the male organ and the female organ because that's the foundation of life. Obama. You understand that? Your mama told you about a stork and some other shit, but the foundation of life is the male organ in relationship to the female organ. And so that's the foundation of these classes. To hear you say Obama?
Yes, Obama.
All right, okay. Now, where's my chalk? They got this color chalk here, no white chalk. Oh, here's a little piece. Start over here. Pyramid shape, or the triangle, represents the greatest institution in the ancient world. And so that's why it's important for us to utilize it. It also represents a form that we can work with because it deals with processes, systems, etc. Each polarity represents what? Right. The pyramid like this is definitely balanced. If you want imbalance, you turn it up like this. So in your course outlines, we try to, some of you already have one of these, so you can, we try to explain the balanced pyramid and the imbalanced pyramid. This is the what? This is the big black. And this is the what? The big little white. The big little white penis. And this humongous is the big black penis. One represents what? Schools of knowledge. The other represents what? Individualism. So what we are referring to is not the physicality of the male and the female organ, we're talking about values, institutions. We're talking about the CAPS. CAPS is what now? Some of you have had me before. Concepts, analyses, processes, systems, and we've added VIP, which is what? Values, interests, and principles or precepts. In other words, when you master that, we're on our way. Concepts, analyses, processes, and systems. Concepts is the grouping of ideas and knowledge into a certain way. The grouping. Analysis are the various views on knowledge. You can use the pyramid to deal with the question of various views. You have a view over here, you have a view over here, and then you have another view. Processes, the processes has to do with the forces affecting ideas and knowledge, political, economic, social, biological forces, psychological forces affecting knowledge. And then everything is interrelated. Everything is systems connected. So this understanding, I need you to master so we can go deeper into things. And the example that I'm trying to give you is in reference to the penis. And this symbol, I have to deal with 2 funerals this week. Tomorrow, Dr. Ben's former wife died, and her name is Jeffries Austin. That's her family name, and wake is tomorrow. The funeral is Thursday at Canaan Baptist Church. And on my aunt passed, my mother's last sibling, her younger sister. So that funeral is Friday, Saturday. So for the next few days, in a way, I'm glad I got a break because I can deal with some heavy other situations that I need to deal with. But at any rate, when you go into a cemetery, when I go into the cemetery this week, the tallest thing I'm going to see in the cemetery is what? The big black penis. But nobody's going to reference it in terms of Africa because you've been captured. You've been captured by the European worldview. In other words, there's a duality, polarity to life. And what is that duality, polarity? Well, you didn't forget. You it's in your. It's right. But I'm trying to get it out of him. In other words, how did you come about? How come you are here on planet Earth?
Guess I'm not fair.
You guess?
Good sex.
Yes. Okay. You're catching up with the real deal. In other words, your mother did what? Let your father have his way with her. And it got so good, they had what? Good sex. And as a result of the good sex, what happened? Laws of nature. The numbers kicked in. What was it? Somebody was saying? What are the numbers? 23, 23. What is that? 23, 23. Chromosomes. And then they combine to be what? They synthesize to be 46. So you start out as 46 chromosomes in one single cell. And the miracle of life starts to take effect. And so, in order for you to appreciate this process, they've kept you from understanding or appreciating good sex. They don't even want you to talk. You know, when you grew up, who did you talk sex to when you were growing up? 10, 11, 12? With your mama, your grandma, your aunties, your older sister? So you had to find out, go up on the roof or go into the alley or somewhere and find out about the most important thing in life, which is good sex, and it wasn't taught to you. You went to the nice Catholic schools, or you went to public school? Catholic schools, they teach you don't even touch it. It's a sin to touch it, you know. And so if you can't touch it, you can't explore it, and you think it's a sin, you're going to get confused. But you went to public school. But your girlfriend should have told you something. Usually the sexual thing is taught to you by your girlfriend. Don't let no boyfriend get in the picture. You're in trouble. Your girlfriends didn't?
At 10, no.
At 10? Now they're at 8 and 9. The cycle is going down. Don't get red. Why are you getting red? Huh? Okay. All right. But what we're trying to do is put you in life and put you in history and then let you, analyze life, and analyze history. Most of you come into classrooms because of various reasons. There are times to fit your schedule or fit your little program, but you don't come into the classrooms for your development. You don't come in for self-development. I'm teaching not to give you grades or knowledge to show off how much I know. I'm trying to work with you in terms of the most important thing in your life, which will be self-development. Once you are self-developing in a positive way, we're on our way. Now, in my course outline, you'll have this upright pyramid as a positive and this down-turned pyramid as a negative. One represents the African model, and the other represents what? The European model. The European model is centered around, I always put an inner circle, and usually there's an outer circle. Inner circle represents internal analysis, outer circle represents external analysis. European system is centered on materialism, and the moving core of it is profit by any means necessary. Obama, young man. Okay. The African system, Native American system, the Southern Asian system is centered around things what? Things spiritual. So there are two value systems. Every culture has a spiritual center, and every culture has a material center. But in the value system of the people of color, the spiritual dominates the material. In the European American world, or the northern culture, the material dominates the spiritual. And the penises are a good example. This is the biggest penis in the world. And it's paying homage to rich white men. That's the George Washington Monument. Nothing in Washington can be taller than it. So it's a concept. It's an image. Whoever controls the images controls. I'm talking about self-development now. Whoever controls the images controls the S-E, which is what? Self-esteem. The S-R, which is what? Self-respect. And these two connect to deal with self-development. Most of you, because somebody else controls your images, are caught up into what we refer to as arrested development. I just ran home to Jersey to check on some things. I just came back, and looking through the streets, I see the young men walking to the street. In other words, make their way to the streets, trying to cross the street, you know. And And you would think, if you're trying to cross the streets and the car's coming, you pick up your pants and you step, But they, that's a perfect example for me of arrested development. Somebody done programmed your ass for destruction, in other words. And prison culture has come out. And you should see these guys. I mean, they decked up now. Oh, goodness. Matching shoes, sneakers, and even handkerchiefs and belts and shit all over, And then now they got the belts. It was bad enough to no belts and your pants is hanging off your ass. Now they're bonded. They done bonded the legs, and they put jewelry on it, So, somebody has controlled your self-development and got you going in the wrong direction. If you're in a world with sharks everywhere, snakes and shit, you got to have your eyes open. You got to know which snake is poisonous, which is not, which shark is not going to tell you. One of the things you got to do, you got to have your legs available. In the martial arts, they do a lot of, but you got, hey, boom, you got to be able to kick somebody's ass. Now, if you all bonded up, you can't defend yourself, you can't defend your mama, you can't defend your children. So, self-development. My thing is to try to spur you for an internal understanding of yourself so that you can have an external understanding of the universe. And so you can start to move past materialism into spiritualism. Perfect example. We had a question of a hole and a rod. Where am I going, brother? I just bought 3 or 4 papers. The biggest thing while the economic crisis is going on is Alex Rodriguez. They got him on every paper, particularly the New York Post, New York Times, etc. Not New York Times, Daily News. Front and back. Biggest thing. Somebody's controlling the images. They got more shots of him than Madoff, a Jew investor who made off with $50 billion, and he's still jerking off up in his penthouse. They haven't demonized him. They've demonized a brother who ain't done nothing wrong. His greatest crime was to try to be like this, to master whiteness. His Africanness gave him the victory. His biogenetics gave him the victory. The brother is blessed. He's been given an African biogenetics. He's endowed. But because he wanted to be the greatest, he decided to endow himself even further with some unnecessary enhancement. His sociological and psychological development has been programmed by somebody else. Just naturally enhancing himself with nutrients, weights, exercise. He could have taken his biogenetics from his Africanness and still made himself into the greatest ball player or one of the greatest ball players to ever live. But instead, the profit thing over here, trying to be the best, to get the biggest salaries. His salary is more than Babe Ruth, Jackie Robinson, and Joe DiMaggio, 3 of the greatest players to ever live, all together. He was sold a bill of goods. You get more, become more of a prophet, become more of a materialistic thing, and help us make money. Instead of him being satisfied with the success that he would normally have with normal development, he went in for this rapid make a quick buck thing. So now, one of the greatest ball players to live will go down in disgrace. Not the people stealing the wealth, the Madoffs, but this brother, when he was in 2003, when he was doing whatever he was doing to enhance himself, it wasn't illegal. There wasn't no penalties. But the thing is, all of them are doing something. It's not just an A-Rod. So now they're calling him asshole. Before he was A-Rod, somebody special. Now he's asshole. He's still somebody special. He got to come up out of this. He's still somebody special. What makes him is not being the greatest home run hitter and this and that. It's what he does with his life. It's what he does with his family. It's what he does with his community. It's what he does with his people. But the way they're going to put it is, this is the way the white man works. To deconstruct, to denigrate African and Latino peoples, that's in his ball game. That's in his plan. And so what I'm trying to say is we got to understand that. Your biogenetics, you've inherited greatness in your biogenetics. You were born to win, but you're programmed to fail. He was born to be a winner. He was programmed to fail. The people who put those processes of enhancement and who said if you get bigger muscles, hit more home runs, you can make more money. He doesn't need all the money that he's making in salaries. He was off his track in terms of his development. The profit making dominated the spiritual development, whereas he could have inspired all kinds of generations of people to develop themselves and become significant, but the profit thing has thrown him off track. Now, we'll deal with that a little later, but I'm going to say, this is Malcolm X. Malcolm was caught up in that. Malcolm was prostituting himself. Malcolm was gambling. Malcolm was using white women. Malcolm was pimping. He didn't start out that way. He was biogenetically a winner, an African, growing and developing. But then he got off the track when the family fell apart. And then he went into profit the European way. But eventually, when he went into jail, he woke up. And then he did a remake. And that's what I'm asking you all to do. To remake your lives. You need a makeover. But if you don't have critical analysis and critical understanding, then that one cell is not going to develop, it's going to deteriorate. In order for it to develop, you have to have a science of inputs in order to create the proper outputs. So you have to have a science of mind, body, and spirit. Mind, body, and spirit, which will help you grow and develop. Now, students ran out of the class. I wanted 2 essays out of the class. One, since you're not going to be here on Thursday, I want an essay on Abraham Lincoln, who he was and what he was. Abraham Lincoln spiritually, Abraham Lincoln materially. Okay? Abraham Lincoln, the image of Abraham Lincoln as an emancipator, or the image of Abraham Lincoln trying to save white people. The image of initially when we're talking about the female and whatnot, and the male, this is a symbol of the successful female. The sisterhood, the successful sisterhood, and the failed brotherhood. The brotherhood got into jealousy and envy, and they began to rival each other, and eventually there was murder, fratricide, a brother killing brother.
Professor?
Yes.
You want the essay about each subject, or was that just one essay with both in it?
What do you mean?
You said you wanted us to do 2 essays, right?
Yes.
And can you repeat, please? I just want to get
Yeah. One is Abraham Lincoln, because that's what you're going to be celebrating, Abraham. So we want you to look at him, the concepts around him, the analyses, the processes, the systems, the values, the interests, the principle. And you won't be able to go deep because this will be your first essay. We'll have you rewrite it. But every essay is supposed to have an introduction where you explain basic things, and then you have a body of analysis where you compare things, and then you have a conclusion. In your course outline, we have some of that.
And what was the second one?
Second one is to begin your comparisons of Malcolm and Obama. So start to get the materials together so you can begin to make a comparison between El-Haj Malik El-Shabazz, Malcolm X, and Obama. So start collecting the data, make your preliminary run at it, and then we will have you redo it with some deeper understanding.
So drafts are due on Tuesday?
Tuesday or next Thursday. It depends on whether I'm here. But our next class is next Thursday. We do have some big activities happening this weekend. This weekend, on Sunday, they have a debate, great debate at Salem Methodist Church, 129th Street and Adam Clayton Powell Boulevard. It's the question of the Toronto Bowley case and ultimatics. And the following weekend, the weekend that Malcolm was murdered, we'll be kicking off the 69 celebration of the students and what they did to help move the struggle of our peoples worldwide into City College, City University. Any questions? Those of you who may have the $40 for the book package, bring it up here and you can check your name off. And any questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
The book place, do you have one available or like?
It's in the orange.
Okay.
The orange thing has the course outline. So